What a game by the Miami Heat and the New Orleans Pelicans. This game had everything. It started lopsided for the Miami Heat. It had runs by the New Orleans Pelicans. It got chippy. We had ejections. We had fights. We had injuries. We had everything in this game, and I'm here to break it all down on this episode of Heat Digest, where we create daily Miami Heat content. So if that interests you, subscribe to the channel, as 90% of you guys currently watching this video are not currently subscribed. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. We appreciate your support. Now let's get to it and break down this recap between the Miami Heat and the New Orleans Pelicans. As like I said earlier, this game had everything from start to finish, and it was chaos. It really was. And for the Miami Heat, it was a great victory as we won 106-95 over the New Orleans Pelicans in the first of a 4-game road stand out west for the Miami Heat. It was our first game back from the All-Star break, and it was a hell of a welcome back. Let's just say that. The Pelicans were on a second of a back-to-back, so they were not as fresh as the Miami Heat. But again, it was back and forth. It started early for the Miami Heat. We were off to a good run, or we were off to a good first quarter. We were very sloppy. It wasn't a great look for the Miami Heat, but despite that, we were able to jump out to a decent lead, opened up the second quarter even better, not as sloppy, not as many turnovers. We got up to a 19-point lead that was quickly erased by the New Orleans Pelicans as they went on a 23-3 run, and it resulted in a tie game going to halftime. And that's where everything really changed. It was a tale of two different halves, if you will, as then in the second half of this game, the third and fourth quarter, were extremely competitive. They were extremely back and forth between the two teams. And for the Miami Heat, they were led by Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. For Butler, he shot 7 of 12 from the field, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and a block, plus minus of plus 19. Every time I come to you guys and give you a recap or some post-game analysis, I feel like every single time I say Jimmy Butler's name, it has to do with the same thing every single time. And that's the fact that he is so damn efficient. 7 of 12 from the field is ridiculous. 8 of 12 from the free throw line, kind of pedestrian for Jimmy Butler, missing 4 free throws, but again, getting by as he was dominant tonight. And for Bam Adebayo, when things got tough for the Miami Heat down the fourth quarter, in the stretch of that fourth quarter, he stepped up. He added 24 points overall in the game, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks, while shooting 11 of 18 from the field, including 12 of his 24 in the fourth quarter alone. Now, the Miami Heat were stagnant in the fourth quarter, and I'll tell you guys why in just a minute, as there were ejections and there were fights and there was almost a choke slam or two and a few people exchanging words between both teams. And Bam Adebayo was able to take over for the Miami Heat despite not having the leader in Jimmy Butler on the floor or even present due to him exiting early due to the scuffle. And Bam Adebayo was simply more than enough for the Miami Heat and was able to separate the Miami Heat from the New Orleans Pelicans from the 12 points he scored in the fourth quarter. Simply fantastic work from Bam Adebayo. Overall, a great game from the two of them. Tyler Herro was a part of that first quarter really run for the Miami Heat as he really helped Jimmy Butler in setting the tone in the first half. In the first quarter dominantly. We'll get to him in just a minute as he went down late in this game after the scuffle with a apparent knee injury. It looked like some form of hyperextension of his right knee. Again, I'm not here to speculate. We have no concrete information behind Tyler Herro and the possible injury he suffered tonight. So when we get more news updates about that, you guys will obviously hear it from us, if not on socials first. But again, no real news behind it. It just did look like some form of overextension or hyperextension of his leg/knee. Okay, but again, he did a great job in the first quarter setting the tone. Overall, he played decently for this game. He did shoot 3 of 5 from behind the three-point line. It seemed like those three-pointers were extremely timely in the time he did make them. 15, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 Tyler Herro. And then Duncan Robinson, we cannot not mention him, as he had 17 points. He shot 6 of 14 from the field, including 5 of 11 from behind the three-point line. It seemed like he was putting up everything he could whenever he was within 30 feet tonight. And again, he did have 2 blocks. We cannot go without mentioning that, as one of the blocks came on Zion Williamson down the stretch of the game, as Zion drove baseline and Duncan was able to come over from the weak side and block it from the behind. And he got away with one, as it seemed like Zion was getting a little bit of a push, but it's okay because of where the ref was. He wasn't able to see it. Miami got away with one and resulted in a Heat win. But let's take it back to the 11:49 mark in the fourth quarter, because that's where things kind of just boiled over. Because this game, despite that run from the Miami Heat in the first quarter and then that run from the Pelicans to then tie it up before the halftime mark, they went on a 23-3 run in the second quarter after being down 19 points, which was Miami's largest lead of the night. And now a tie game at half. They go through the third quarter back and forth, chippy fouls here and there. And we go to the fourth quarter. It just starts. We're at the 11:40 or at the 11:19 mark in the fourth quarter, and things seem to escalate. Zion Williamson has a one-on-one with Kevin Love. Kevin Love makes the correct basketball play. There was nothing malicious. There was nothing out of the ordinary that for Kevin Love when he made this play. He wrapped up Zion Williamson in a form of just a hug in order to stop Zion Williamson from putting him on a poster, making some form of three-point play, because Kevin Love, there was no way he wasn't going to foul Zion Williamson in this scenario. And when he did, he did go to the ground. It wasn't that Kevin Love threw him down. It was just because he wrapped him up in a form of bear hug to prevent a momentum swinging play from Zion Williamson and the Pelicans. Zion was then on the ground. A bunch of the New Orleans Pelicans, other players who were obviously already on the floor, came over to aid Zion Williamson to really check Kevin Love, make sure there wasn't anything really going on there. Once the help was there and Zion was off the floor, Jimmy Butler and Najee Marshall for the New Orleans Pelicans did not really seem eye to eye. As they went face to face, things seemed to escalate. It seemed like they were going to chokeslam one another, as Jimmy reached for Najee and Najee reached for Jimmy. They had a hand around each other's throats, and then both teams were separated. From that form of separation, Jimmy Butler kind of went after Marshall, if you will. Not very aggressive, but aggressive enough that it required more backup. That escalated to Thomas Bryant and Jose Alvarado getting into a scuffle where punches were thrown. All 4 players, between 2 on each team, were ejected from the game at the 11:49 mark. So that was Jimmy Butler and Thomas Bryant for the Miami Heat. And then for the New Orleans Pelicans, it was Jose Alvarado and Najee Marshall, all ejected from this game at the 11:19 mark in the fourth quarter. It was 84-80 in favor of the Miami Heat. So in a 4-point game, the New Orleans Pelicans lost Jose Alvarado, who was their current point guard at the time due to losing CJ McCollum early in the game, in the first half of this game. And then Jimmy Butler, the heartbeat of the Miami Heat up to that point, was now then lost. Thomas Bryant had not played a minute in that game yet, so he really wasn't much of a factor, at least on the court. But then that's where Bam Adebayo really came up and shined, as he did have 12 of his 24, half of his points in the fourth quarter. But again, what a game between the Miami Heat and the New Orleans Pelicans. It's the first of 2 meetings between these teams. They will meet one more time in about 4 weeks, roughly a month from now, in South Beach, and I cannot wait, as it should be an exciting game, as the Miami Heat have now won 7 in a row over the Pelicans, dating back to December 25th of 2020. Yes, it's now 2024. We haven't lost to them since December of 2020. What a run by the Miami Heat. They also moved to 9-0 when holding teams below 100 points this season. When the defense shows up, it translates to Miami Heat wins. And tonight, it wasn't only the defense, but it was the chippiness. It was the Heat culture-esque. They were playing tough. They played rugged. And it really showed, as not only was there a scuffle and ejections, but the Miami Heat were able to hold them within under 100 points and produce a large Miami Heat victory, as now that is the 3rd win in a row, and the Miami Heat are now have won 7 of their last 10 games, 7-3 in their last 10. They are 31-25 on the year, and only a half game back from the Indiana Pacers. I cannot wait to see how things go as we we don't host, but we go to Sacramento on Monday. So with Tyler Herro and his possible knee injury or possible leg injury, he will have 2 days if needed to rest before the next game at Sacramento, where then we'll be on a back-to-back, because on Tuesday night, the following night, we will be at Portland. That will be the second and third game of this Miami Heat road stand all out west. I can't wait to see how things go. I'll see you guys on the next episode of Heat Digest. I appreciate you guys watching. See you on the next one.